Hello everybody, my name is JCW and welcome to my efficient herb run guide. Herb runs can profit about 4 to 5 mil an hour effectively going off wiki prices to remain. And of course, if you're an Ironman, herb runs are essential to potion upkeep. I'm going to show you guys how to do 10 herb patches in about 5 minutes. It should not take any longer than that. There are a lot of requirements that can make runs better, or even some patches that are locked behind certain things. If you are missing a requirement, you can always skip that patch during a run. I will put all the patch requirements on the screen. Here we go. For the Trollheim patch, My Arm's Big Adventure, 73 Agility, and Fremennik Hard Diary are required to teleport directly to the patch. For the Waist patch, Making Friends with My Arm is required to use the patch. Ardoin Medium and Lumbridge Medium give 3 teleports per day to their respective patches. You should complete the highest tier diary you can and do that patch for as many temporary teleports you get per day. Hard Lumbridge and Elite Ardoin give infinite, and Hard Ardoin gives 5 per day. Finally, the highest requirement is likely the Mauritania Elite Diary. This gives access to the Harmony Island patch. As I said earlier, if you're missing any of these patches, just simply skip them and still do your herb run normally. Next up is the teleport / spellbook requirements. If you are 96 plus magic, it is recommended to stay on Lunars. However, it is perfectly fine to camp Arceus Spellbook and use teletabs in replacement of the Lunar Spellbook teleports. 78 plus magic is very useful as it will give you access to resurrect crops, which means less dead seeds, more profit, and more potions. Next, either a construction cape or even just POH teletabs is a really nice QOL. I will show the alternatives soon. Bear with me, here comes the last tab before showing the setup. Strong recommendations. Autoweed and Herbsack from Tithe Farm, both of these will make the runs much better and quicker. We all know of Ultra Compost. Ideally, you want to have a bottomless bucket if you're a main, or if you can get the Ash Cover Tome from VM, that will allow you to cast Fertile Soil as Ultra Compost without needing to make the compost. This is 100% an Ironman move and what I will be showing in this video. And also note that if you're just starting out on a low level Ironman, it's completely fine and normal to not have access to either of these immediately. The Barbarian farming section allows you to plant seeds without requiring a seed dipper. This can help save 1 inventory space. Next, there's only 2 plugins that you guys have to be aware of, and it helps with the setup. Be sure to have bank tags and bank tag layouts. Now, we are finally ready for the setup and how to use the plugins. Here's my herb run setup, reasons, and alternatives. Feel free to pause as long as you need and copy accordingly. Once you have your inventory set up, it's time to make the bank tab. To do this, simply open your bank, add a new tag, and name it whatever you want. It will appear on the left side. Be sure to click it, and it should be empty, and you should have this little symbol on the bottom. Clicking that symbol will auto-populate the tab. This is good. You might have to move a couple things around to get comfortable, but be sure to do it, because once you're set up once, you're set up forever. Banking for herb runs should never take more than 10 seconds. This is how I bank. Now, before we actually do the run, let's look at the tips and tricks. The one mechanic is to know how to double harvest herbs. In order to do this, simply walk up to the herb patch and be sure to wait 1 tick. Then you can either spam click or simply click twice in 2 ticks to start double harvesting. If done correctly, you should get 2 XP drops every time your character leans over. This also works on Snapegrass, which is my next tip specifically for Ironman. If you care about secondaries, the Snapegrass patch in Cavalry has a leprechaun to note stuff at that you can reach without moving. Alongside that, the Limpwort patch in Assidious can never die, and you don't need to Ultra Compost it as it doesn't give more yield, so you can do 1 drive-by Limpwort and 1 drive-by Snapegrass per run. This is why I personally bring a regen pouch to hold the secondaries, however it is absolutely not needed. If you are camping Lunars, you will need to Spellbook swap to teleport to Frankenstein and Harmony Island. Technically, order of patches doesn't matter, however there are 2 exceptions to this. Both are when we are Spellbook swapping. If we use a clean herb on a leprechaun and then click Spellbook swap, our character will not stall, and we can teleport right after we note the herbs. I always be sure to Spellbook swap while doing the Trollheim patch and the Vargamore patch. That way we lose no ticks while Spellbook swapping. Also note that when doing it from the Vargamore patch, you do have to loot the herbs specifically from a tile that I am currently on. Next, we bring 2 seed types for 2 different reasons. 1, we don't want a herb stack to get full. And 2, utilizing good seeds. There are certain patches that yield more herbs or don't die, etc. It varies based off of what you have completed, so I recommend checking the wiki. The TLDR though, is that you want to plant your good seed in the better patches. I personally use the Farming Guild, Catherby, and Assidious. This seed is normally just what I want more herbs of. For example, Torstles are really good as an Iron Man, so I will never plant Torstles in a different herb patch. The other seeds can happily go in the other 7 patches though. If a herb dies, that's what Arceus Spellbook is for. Either Spellbook swap or already be on it and cast Resurrect Crops. Finally, just try to empty your herb stack as often as possible and use the leprechauns along the way. It is completely optional to clean herbs, however I always do since I need to clean them eventually anyway. If you can't be bothered, feel free to use grimy herbs on the leprechaun instead. I think the only leprechaun that I can absolutely advise to never use is Harmony Island. Assuming Spellbook swap on Vargamore and Trollheim, those are fine, and the rest are along the way. That's all the tips and tricks I have, so it's time to do the herb run. I usually just go to whatever patch based off vibes. However, for the sake of the video, I will go in the order of Runelite. The Spellbook swap will still be at the normal place though. I hope you guys found this video useful. Don't forget to like and let me know down below what to do next. The rest of the video will be a full unedited herb run example. Take care, good luck on the herb runs, and peace out.